Indonesia is a land of breathtaking beauty, a sprawling archipelago draped across the warm waters of the Pacific and Indian Oceans. Its lush rainforests are teeming with life, from rare birds to secretive mammals to reptiles that have thrived there for millions of years. Among these creatures, one stands out as both awe-inspiring and fearsome: the reticulated python. These snakes are among the longest in the world, capable of growing up to 30 feet in length. They're muscular and powerful, silent predators that can ambush prey by coiling around them with bone-crushing strength. They don't bite to kill, they constrict, squeezing until their prey can no longer breathe. People living in rural areas of Indonesia know the risks of sharing their home with these apex predators. But nothing could have prepared one small village for the unimaginable horror that unfolded there in 2018. This is the story of Wa Tiba. Wa Tiba was a 54-year-old woman living on Muna Island, a rural and remote part of southeast Sulawesi, Indonesia. Life on Muna Island moves at a slower pace, and for those who reside there, daily survival is deeply connected to the land. Wa Tiba was no different. Like many of her neighbors, she cultivated a small vegetable garden not far from her home, a garden she relied on for food and livelihood. On the evening of June 14th, Wa Tiba left her house to check her garden. The garden was less than half a mile from her home, tucked into a patch of forest that villagers described as haunted. Local folklore spoke of dangerous spirits lurking among the trees, but the more pressing issue was the wildlife that claimed the dense forest as its domain. Among them, giant reticulated pythons. Her family expected her back soon, maybe an hour or two at most, but as the hours dragged on and the night deepened, Wa Tiba did not return. Concern grew among her children, and as dawn broke the following morning, they went searching for her. The path to the garden was overgrown, shaded by towering trees and thick with underbrush. Wa Tiba's children followed the trail, calling her name. But halfway to the garden, they found something that made their blood run cold: her sandals and flashlight, abandoned on the damp earth. Nearby, the soil was disturbed, and there were signs of a struggle. Panic set in as they ran back to the village and alerted the neighbors. Soon, a group of villagers gathered and began a more organized search. They fanned out into the forest, hoping against hope to find Wa Tiba alive. It was a short distance from the disturbed earth where they found a massive python. The reptile lay motionless, its body grotesquely swollen in the middle, as though it had consumed something far larger than its usual prey. The villagers stared in horror, their worst fears taking shape. Some of the men grabbed machetes, not unusual tools in a rural farming community, and approached the snake cautiously. Its midsection was stretched unnaturally wide, and the python seemed sluggish, perhaps sated from a massive meal. With grim determination, the villagers killed the snake and began the gruesome process of cutting it open. What they found inside confirmed every nightmare they had dared not voice. Wa Tiba's body was intact, curled into the fetal position within the python's stomach. The villagers were horrified but also struck by the sheer surrealism of the sight: a grown human being completely swallowed by an animal. Reticulated pythons are capable of dislocating their jaws to consume prey many times the size of their heads. They usually feed on wild boars, deer, or even small primates. But humans, it's rare, almost unheard of, and yet here was undeniable proof. The news of Wa Tiba's tragic death spread quickly, first across Indonesia and then around the world. It left people grappling with how such an event could happen. How could a snake, a creature without claws or venom, overcome a human being? Experts weighed in, pointing to the unique physiology and behavior of reticulated pythons. These snakes rely on ambush, attacking with lightning speed when prey comes within range. Their curved teeth, though not venomous, are like hooks. They sink deep into flesh, making it almost impossible to escape once they bite. After securing their grip, they coil their bodies and begin to constrict. In all likelihood, Wa Tiba wouldn't have had much time to fight back. Once the constriction begins, unconsciousness can follow in a matter of minutes. But why would a python target a human? Experts point to the ever-shrinking habitat available to wildlife in places like Indonesia. As farming, logging, and development push deeper into forests, humans and animals are forced into closer contact. Pythons, opportunistic hunters, may explore gardens or farmlands in search of prey. A lone person in the wrong place at the wrong time could inadvertently become just another potential target. For the people of Wa Tiba's village, her death was not just a tragedy. It was a stark reminder of the delicate balance between humans and nature. The forest, for all its beauty and life, remains an untamed and unpredictable realm. In that intersection between human survival and wild instinct, the risks are real, and sometimes they become unimaginably devastating. Wa Tiba's story is one of unimaginable loss, but it also serves as a cautionary tale. As we continue to encroach upon the natural world, we must remember that we are not its masters. We are part of it. And in that world, predators like the reticulated python have existed for millions of years, long before humans ever set foot on Indonesian soil. In the aftermath of Wa Tiba's death, villagers became more vigilant. They cleared overgrown paths, traveled in groups, and carried tools for protection when venturing into the forest. But the unease lingered, an acute awareness that life on Muna Island exists on the edge of wildness, where ancient creatures still roam, and where the natural order sometimes collides with human life in the most tragic of ways. Wa Tiba's story will never be forgotten by her village or the world. It stands as a chilling reminder of both the wonders and the dangers of the natural world, a place where life and death are intertwined in ways that can inspire awe as much as fear.